Hi, welcome to Fitzdog Radio. I'm your intrepid host, just back from vacation, Greg Fitzsimmons. And I have that just vacationed vibe going right now where I'm feeling rested. I feel like the hard drive was reset a little bit. I did Sunday papers Saturday, and I felt more present, and I had more fun than I've had in a long time. And I realized I really needed a break. It had been years since we had gone on vacation because of the pandemic. We had tickets in 2020, February of 2020. I had tickets and places to stay in Cuba for April, and then Ireland in August. And then the pandemic happened. And then we tried to do it again the following year, and and long story short, it had been 3 years in the planning to get it together, and we finally went. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But I think first off, I should address the horrible, tragic events of yesterday. The Hurricane Hilary, and I will spare you the Hilary hurricane jokes. They've been done. They're out there. If you want to find them, just Google it or go to that Greg Gutfeld show. I'm sure they're grabbing all the low-hanging fruit about the Hilary jokes, about the hurricane, and how the hurricane's like Hilary because blah-diddy-blah. We might have done it on Sunday papers a little bit. Might be guilty of it a little bit. I love some low-hanging fruit. Maybe we should work on the script longer than 45 minutes before we start taping. I don't know. But the hurricanes, it came, and, I live in Venice Beach, and we did not get anything except for heavy rain, and even then, it did not last very long. My heart goes out to the people that live in the poor neighborhoods because Hurricane Hilary just went after Compton and then Dodger Stadium, which is a rough neighborhood. And isn't that the way it goes? Like my good friend Dion Curry, who is a comic out of Indianapolis. He opens for me on the road a lot. Great fucking comic. And he has a whole bit about hurricanes hitting poor people or black people. And it isn't, well, first of all, I think hurricanes have ADD because they never show up where they're supposed to. They always show up late, if at all. And they show up other places randomly. So I don't think they should. I think they always name the hurricanes after people, random people with no connection. They just pick a name. Why don't you name them after each of my family members who has ADD? Because that's what a hurricane is. A hurricane, call it Hurricane JoJo. And it's supposed to be home at midnight. And the hurricane rolls in around 2:30 with no phone call. Call it Hurricane Owen, and the house is suddenly strewn with papers and filth, and there's no hot water left. There's no hot water. What happened? Well, Hurricane Owen was here. Maybe something there. So I was thinking about this, how poor people really get battered by natural disasters. Trailer parks are always getting... It seems like they aim for the trailer parks. Tsunamis. I mean, it's all like the poor fisher people that live along the coastline. I guess tsunamis also hit rich people because, property on the beach is expensive. So but you don't hear about that much. You hear about the poor people, and you hear about, droughts. How many fucking rich people have died during a drought? Like none. What, their Poland Springs bubbler ran out and the guy forgot to bring a new one? Did they die from that? No. Viruses. Do you know viruses kill way more poor people? Like twice as many. I looked it up. I looked it up online because I was curious. And here is a quote from the National Health Services. Quote, based on a data analysis of more than 3,000 counties across the U.S., it finds that people in poorer counties have died overall at almost twice the rate of those in richer counties. Looking at the most deadly surge of the virus, the disparity in death rates grows even more pronounced. So, and we're not talking about just, poor people obviously are clustered together generally in cities at a higher rate. So that would be one explanation. But no, it was actually a lot of poor rural people. People that I think they clung more to the idea that vaccines were bad for you. There was a much lower rate of vaccination in these rural communities, and they died at a much higher rate. But yeah, vaccines, people, try them out. Take them for a spin, see what happens. You won't necessarily be intellectually disabled afterwards. You may just be alive. Who knows? Mudslides. Mudslides hit the people at the bottom of the hill, the poor people. People up top, there's no mud sliding to the top of the hill. It's your mud from your fucking crazy mansion that's hanging over the side of a hill that they dug out of the hill that suddenly just starts leaching mud down onto the poor people. There was a thing called, I read a book about the Johnstown flood. It was like back in the 1800s in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh area. It was in Pennsylvania. And basically a bunch of rich people, it was like Dale Carnegie and of like 50 other uber wealthy oil and steel families, all joined a club. It was like a hunting and fishing club. And they wanted like a pond that they could fish out of. So they made a dam and created this pond. And they didn't really reinforce it very well. They just kind of threw together some mud and put some boats on it, started fishing. And then a few years later, heavy rainfall, dam bursts, and it flows down into Johnstown, which is filled with people. And guess how many people die? Like, I can't remember the number, but it was like 2,000 people died in a fucking crazy flood. The water was just torrential, flying down. And they, at the end of it, the people that survived tried to basically sue the rich people to just get their homes back. And these Carnegies, they said, fuck you. They didn't get a dime. None of them got a dime. It was crazy. And it actually made some laws get enacted, which created fault in lawsuits, that if there was discernible fault, that you could actually get your house back from the barons who have so much fucking money. Building one of these people's houses would have been nothing. What else? Wildfires. Wildfires, I think, is a rich person. Generally, not all. But there are, like, I just know for California, there's always rich people always want to get away. They want a house that's like outside, like in the country, quotes. I want to live in the country. And guess what? The country doesn't have fire roads. The country doesn't have fire departments. The country is filled with scrub and dry brush. And so a lot of times those wildfires are taking out mansions, and which I'm not happy about. I'm just saying, sometimes the Grim Reaper comes for the rich as well. So speaking of the rich, I'm going to be in Irvine on September 10th playing at the Improv if you want to come down. I think Irvine's somewhat wealthy, but it also draws from the communities around there. I think that's Orange County. Orange County's a little mixed. Escondido is definitely wealthier. I'll be at the Grand Comedy Club September 22nd and 23rd, bringing the wife down for that one. Yeah, we're going to hang out for the weekend. I'll be in Shirley, Mass. I think that's a poor town. Bull Run on October 5th. Next night, I'll be in Manchester, New Hampshire at Chunky's Cinema, October 6th. That goes on the resume. And then I'm at Chunky's in Nashua, New Hampshire, October 7th. My old stomping grounds. These are the clubs I used to work in these towns when I was starting out in comedy. So I love going back to New England and doing shows. Foxborough, Mass, right near the stadium at the Comedy Scene, October 8th. And then back at home in California in Sacramento at the Punchline. One of the most underrated clubs. It's a fun-ass club. I didn't do it for years for some reason, but I started going back over the last few years. That'll be October 12th through the 14th. Arlington, Virginia, which is basically D.C. If you're in the D.C. area, I will be at the Draft House October 20th through the 21st. Then I will be in Baltimore at Magooby's the 22nd. Also dates coming up in Houston, Bakersfield, San Francisco, Chicago, Fort Worth. All the tickets available at Fitzdog.com. This is the announcement of my fall dates. I generally take the summers off, and now I'm back. I'll be working on new material. I started working on it in the spring after I shot my special. But I got some new material for you people. Come check it out. It's filthy. It's culturally provocative. It's silly. A lot of dick jokes. Listen, HelloFresh is a great company that gives you farm-fresh, pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You don't have to go to the grocery store. HelloFresh makes fun home cooking. It's affordable. It's America's #1 meal kit. Listen, fall is coming up, and you got to plan. You got to start planning, pick some recipes. You just pick your delivery dates, and then just kick back. Enjoy the rest of summer. Go to people's barbecues, knowing that when school starts and your summer vacation's over, you've got some dates locked in where HelloFresh is going to deliver amazing food right to you. And you don't have to worry about going to the store. It's got 40 chef-crafted recipes to select from every week. Family friendly and fit and wholesome. Always got new exciting recipes. I'm not a chef or a cook. But you know why? Because I don't like shopping. I don't like measuring. I don't like realizing that I forgot the key ingredient when I'm halfway through cooking. None of that happens with HelloFresh. I made dinner for my family. They sent me, I'm not going to lie to you, they send me free meals, but they want me to experience it. So I get them, and I made a meal for my family, and I didn't tell them that I used HelloFresh. And they literally accused me of bringing it in from a restaurant. It's that good. And it's so much cheaper. So, look, it's 25% cheaper than takeout, less expensive than grocery shopping. This is a no-brainer. So, I would like to invite you guys to save some time and just go to HelloFresh.com. And 50 Fitzdog, and use code 50, the number 50, Fitzdog for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, go to HelloFresh.com/50 Fitzdog and use code 50 Fitzdog for 50% off plus free shipping. Look, HelloFresh, they're America's #1 meal kit. All right, here's the other thing I want to talk to you about. And this is a proud sponsor of the show because it's a company that Mike and I on Sunday Papers, we go to a lot of concerts. And over the years, I have always been stressed out about when to buy tickets. Am I buying them too early? Am I getting them at too high of a rate? Well, let me tell you something. Game Time allows you to wait it out, keep an eye on it, see what's coming up. I'm checking right now on my phone. If you go to Game Time, you can get the tickets that you would have paid like 4 times as much for, and now you you can get great seats. And right now, if you want to go see Let's see. Drake, it says $442 for tomorrow night. I'm going to track this, and on the next episode, I'm going to tell you how much they went for. Guaranteed it's less than $300. Hey, remember Foreigner? I do. $29 tonight at the 5 Point Amphitheater. $29. I mean, who gives a shit if they're even good at that point? Pick up some cheap tickets. That's a fun thing about the app, is it's geared towards your area. It can be theater. It can be music. It can be sports. Whatever you want, you can get the deals. And it goes straight to your phone. The app is super easy to use. You don't have to print. You don't have to transfer. It's just right on the app. They scan it. You're in. If you want to check out your seats, they've got views from the seats on the app. You can see what it's going to look like from where you're going. And again, you wait. They got flash deals, last-minute tickets. And they got a lowest price guarantee, so that if you can find a ticket in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Fitzdog for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Fitzdog for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now, what else? What else can we talk? This hurricane. So I was trapped inside, which just sucked because I got home late Friday night from Spain. And I was looking forward to going out, seeing some friends, maybe going to see this goddamn Barbie movie after all. And instead we were trapped in the house. Just me and my wife. It felt like the pandemic again. It really did, because you couldn't leave the house. And meanwhile, I kept getting these warnings sent to my phone. Don't leave your house unless it's unless, quote unquote, you're fleeing, that you should not leave your house. And so, we cleaned the house. We organized some stuff. Had sex, of course. You're going to have sex. And you got to be strategic about when to have the sex. Because usually, you have sex and then you go to sleep. There's no hanging out after you have sex. Because my wife is my best friend. And it's very weird to have sex with her and then go hey, you want to play chess? What? We're just staring into each other's eyes. We were just having the ultimate sign of intimacy with one another. We were celebrating our bodies and our union and marriage, and now you want to watch a fucking Sinead O'Connor documentary sitting next to me? It's weird. It's like during the day. If we have daytime sex, I go out afterwards. I can't take the intimacy of post-coital hanging out. I got to go to the gym, go see a friend, fucking wash my car, whatever. Get out of the house. But you know what? It worked. It actually worked. We felt good afterwards. And I had just spent the 2 weeks with her on vacation. Nonstop, literally by each other's side. Flew back. It was 18 hours of flying. Just me and her, not out of each other's sight for a second. Get home, straight into the fucking hurricane quarantine, nonstop. Didn't get tired of her. What a gift. What a fucking gift I got from the heavens, that I got this person in my life that I enjoy so much, that I don't get tired of her. I was missing her. I'm in my office all day trying to put this goddamn podcast together, and I'm thinking about her. How's that after 24 years of marriage? Anyway, so we watched the Sinead O'Connor documentary, and man, I already loved Sinead. I always had a passion for her. She has moved me and impressed me and awed me for so many years. And then she died, and I was devastated. And then Mike had told me about this documentary, and I hadn't seen it yet, so we popped it on. And I just got a whole other level of respect for her. I didn't know. I knew she had an abusive childhood, but I didn't know really the details, and it got into it. And it got into why, she tore up a picture of the Pope. And in that one fleeting moment, it changed the course of her life. She was the biggest artist in the world. She was Adele. She was Taylor Swift. She was bigger than all of them. And that's with good music. No offense to Adele or Taylor Swift, but it's a different thing. Sinead O'Connor is a different thing than Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is well put together. She is marketed. She is branded. She is she is distributed. Sinead was a force of nature. She had a power coming through her voice, her writing, her look. I mean, she was goddamn beautiful. And the thing is, she shaved her head because the record executives told her that she needed to do her hair better and wear makeup and dresses and high heels. And so what did she do? She said, fuck you, shaved her head. She had a baby while she was making her first album. And they told her not to talk about it. So what did she do? She went to the Grammys and she hung her baby's onesie off her pants to show with her shaved head and her fucking Public Enemy logo on the side of her head, because they didn't come to the Grammys because of how the Grammys treats black artists. So, I mean, she's a fucking badass. Anyway, so she tears up this picture of the Pope. Good. Fuck that guy. Pope John Paul II. This is a guy who oversaw a church that systematically hid and perpetuated child sexual abuse. Period. Not up for question. Not debatable. If any other corporation in this planet had sexual abuse against children happen thousands of times under their watch, they would be out of business so fast. Instead, this guy, when he was the archbishop and the cardinal in Poland, there are books written about it. Journalists wrote books knowing that he was fully aware of sexual abuse that was happening. He then became the Pope, and he was responsible for continuing to hide it. Cardinal Law, the piece of shit in Boston that moved priests from parish to parish, some of them who sexually molested hundreds of children. And this guy knew it, and he moved them to other churches. And Pope John Paul II knew everything about it. He knew what happened. And what did he do? He moved Cardinal Law to Rome, and he gave him a position in Rome. He didn't fire him. He didn't turn him over to the authorities. It was fucking gross. So she ripped up his picture? Yeah, right. Because she lived in Ireland, a country that was plagued with sexual abuse from priests. And she grew up in an environment where she knew that the guilt and the abuse that was perpetuated on people was then perpetuated on their children in the form of physical abuse, beatings, shame, guilt, all of it. And she reacted to that by ripping up a picture of the guy who's in charge of that institution. Good. So cancel me for saying that. Fuck that guy. Anyway, she was beautiful too. With the shaved head. Is it fair? I mean, would she have been as big as she was if she didn't look like what she looked like? I think there's an argument that she would have. But there's also an argument that her striking good looks and cutting her hair was almost like saying, I'm so hot, I don't even need hair. I'm so beautiful that my face will actually pop. My eyes will look even better with no hair on my head. She wore fucking Doc Martens and, loose jeans. She never showed off her body. She had a smoking body. Didn't show it off. Didn't use it. And we loved her. Is it fair that isn't it weird that some people are born, they come out of the womb, and they are beautiful? And they don't always know it. They don't always believe it. But there are advantages that come to them because they're beautiful. I got it. You think I'd be here right now if I didn't look the way I looked? If I didn't turn heads? I think I turn heads, but in the opposite direction. I think people look away. People avert their eyes now when they see me because I'm the devil. I'm the middle-aged straight white guy with the shaved head. There's nobody that's intrigued by me. Nobody wants to know my story. They just look away or through. Worse, they look through me like I'm not even there, like an apparition. Anyway, what else do? We watched a series called Yellow Jackets. We've only seen the first 2 episodes, but I'm hooked. It's very binge-worthy. I like it. I watched my cousin, Denny McCarthy. He's a pro golfer. I talk about him a lot on this show. He was in a tournament. It was the BMW Championship yesterday, and he made a good run at it. I think he came in like 7th place. But there's I'm not going to get into it, but there's a thing called the FedEx Cup where you earn points throughout the season, and then the top 30 players get invited to this high-stakes event. It's literally the last event of the year, and he missed the cut by one guy. He was like he came in like 32nd in the points, so he doesn't get to go to Atlanta next weekend for this big tournament. But anyway, his season's over. He had an unbelievable year. He went into extra holes on one tournament and almost won it. He came in the top 10 in the U.S. Open. Came in second in another tournament. He put his name on the map. Players and fans are now aware of Denny McCarthy, and I think that a lot of that has to do with me. I think he's been inspired by me and my golf game. What I've achieved at Penmar over the years was certainly lore in the family. It's been told and retold. The tales of me shooting 3 over par on 9 holes as my best score. I think it made him shoot a little higher. Let's just say that. I read a couple New Yorkers, cover to cover, which I love. One of them was about in India, the women still, if you marry a woman in India, you get a dowry. The father has to pay you money to take his daughter. And it's a story about how sometimes they don't pay the full dowry, or there's an argument about that the guy owes more, and then the women are beaten if the dowry's not paid. Some of them are lit on fire. They're tortured. They're killed. I mean, I'm not kidding you. And this is not like a small segment of India. This is most Indian people have to pay dowries. Still, it's fucking crazy. And this is the second biggest population in the world, India. It's pretty fucking mind-boggling. We watched a prison show for a minute. I am a dick. When I'm on the road, I watch MSNBC Lockup nonstop. I don't know if it's like, I feel like it's a metaphor for being trapped in a hotel room alone on the road, but I relate. I relate to these motherfuckers on the inside. That's what we say. Prisoners in comics. When I'm on the inside, it means I'm at a Holiday Inn Express on Route 1 in Teaneck, New Jersey. I'm on the inside, bitch. But I always think about, like, I think every man does. I don't know if women do, but I think every man thinks, could I survive prison? How would I do it? What would be, we all think, oh, you'd work out. Obviously, you try to learn some martial arts. You try to find some connections inside if you can get somebody to protect you. And I was thinking, like, if I went into a prison, I would walk in and I think I'd find the smallest guy in the prison. I'd punch him right in the face. Achieve dominance, even if it's one guy. And then I would probably I'd find the biggest, meanest dudes, and I would ask if they wanted me to suck their dicks, because it's going to happen anyway, so why not offer it? And then it's a gentle blowjob. He's not yelling curses at me while I do it. It's just a perfunctory, generous blowjob with probably a thank you at the end, But then what if I try to do it and the guys are like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is a minimum security prison, dude. Nobody sucks anybody's dicks. And I'd be like, yeah, but you look like a badass. You're ripped and you got tattoos. And he's like, no, I live in Brooklyn. I work on Wall Street. This is just how hipsters look. You don't have to suck my dick. But I do anyway, because at that point I've already got it in my head, you know. And then I got to apologize to the guy I punched in the face. He's like, what the fuck was that all about? I was like, I don't know, man. I needed a bitch in here. Guy's a nerd. Poor nerdy guy. He's got a black eye. I mean, prison is kind of like a club that you didn't want to join. It was like you were put into a club, and now you got to live by the rules of the club. And these are your fellow members, you know? And I'm not a club guy. I am. I joined the Friars Club when I was in New York. My father was in the Friars Club for many years. And then when I moved to New York, he died, and I moved back to New York right after he died, and I joined the club. And I loved it. I loved the other members. It's an entertainment club. If you don't know what the Friars Club is, it's basically you have to be in the entertainment industry to join. So it's mostly comedians, actors, writers, publicists, agents, directors, anybody having to do with show business. And they have a bar, couple of bars, a restaurant that's fucking world-class restaurant, a gymnasium upstairs with the best steam room in the city. It's got a room that just has like leather Barca loungers with a big screen TV and like Variety and Hollywood Reporter and People Magazine all laying around and the New York Times. And you just fucking you work out, you take a steam, and then you sit in a bathrobe in a Barca lounger and you read Variety. How about that for a day? And then they have 2 pool rooms downstairs where you can shoot pool. And they have competitions. And I won the 9-ball competition one year, which is not easy to do. There was a lot of good players. I beat Paul Sorvino, remember, from Goodfellas? I beat his ass. Beat a lot of guys. Played James Caan on that table once. He beat me. He was really fucking good. But yeah, I'm not a club. I'm trying to think what other clubs I was in. I was in the Model UN Club in high school, where you pretend to be a country and you debate other countries and you put through bills and shit. Anyway, I joined it because you get to go to other cities. Like we went to D.C. and I got a hand job and I drank gin out of a shampoo bottle that I hid in my luggage. And I got into the room and there was 2 guys in the room, Ziad Benessa and Harlan Protas, 2 of my schoolmates. And we were sharing a room, and then we were getting undressed, and they took their socks off. And Ziad, I can't remember the details, but Ziad had no toes, and Harlan's toes were webbed. I think that's right, or I have it backwards. But both their feet were fucking crazy. And I was like, what the fuck kind of prank is this? What's going on here? And, anyway, so yeah, I got a hand job and I drank gin. And then the guy who was my partner, I didn't do shit. I mailed it in. I did no research. I don't even think I showed up to most of the conferences. And then I won best delegation because the guy that I was with was this super nerd. He was so smart. And we were Zaire. We were the country Zaire, which, by the way, wouldn't happen today. With cultural appropriation, there's no way they would have let 2 white guys represent Zaire at the Model UN Club. That's an interesting thing. I'd love to know that now, if today you have to be culturally appropriate for the country that you're representing. Would I have to be Ireland? Could I not be Sweden? I definitely couldn't be Israel. But interesting. So we won. I came home with a fucking trophy. And a dirty pair of underwear and a hangover. Best weekend of my life. I'll tell you what, getting a hand job as a teenager is about as good as it gets. Because you're so used to doing it yourself and somebody else is doing it. And it's just fun. All right, let's talk. Jesus Christ, I've talked a lot and I haven't even gotten to Europe yet. All right, let me get to Europe. I don't know if people know, but if you've been following my social media, I have been in Ireland and Spain the last 2 weeks. Ireland was fun. We were staying in Galway, and it was my sister and her 2 kids and her husband, who I love all of them, and my mother, who I love, my brother I love, and my kids. It was a love fest. It was 10 of us we had a gorgeous house, and we were right near the water. It was a great time. And we walked outside on the first night, and we're coming back from a pub where there was a session where they played music. And we look up at the sky, and my daughter literally said, this is a sophomore in college. She says, oh, they got the Big Dipper here too. Yeah. Yep. 20 years old. And there was a lot of drinking. There was a phenomenal amount of drinking. I would say that this is probably the hardest week of sobriety I've had in my entire life. It was constant. And Ireland is a drinking country. And you get 4 people in their early 20s drinking hard. And it was a lot. It was a lot. And thank God they had Guinness non-alcoholic on tap. I drank a lot of those. Had a lot of fun. We got to one pub. This was hilarious. And first of all, we rent a car and we're driving. I'm the only driver. There's 2 cars and I'm the driver of one of the cars. And it's on the wheels on the wrong side. And it's a stick shift. So I've got to shift with my left hand, steer with my right, be on the wrong side of the street. It was fucking nuts. I had to and we drove, like some days I drove 4 hours down windy mountain roads the entire time, where you're fucking changing gears every 4 seconds and taking hairpin turns, and there's tour buses coming from the opposite direction at 50 miles an hour. It was crazy. And then my wife would go, oh, look at that castle. And I'd be like, oh yeah, that's nice. Head-on collision. Like, I could not look up for anything. I saw nothing. Until we parked, I saw nothing of the countryside of Ireland. And then we get to this pub for dinner one night. It was a restaurant that had a pub attached to it. And we walk in, and I see a bunch of guys in dark suits. And so we sit down, and they're standing up front smoking, and they got a good buzz going. And I go, was there an event tonight? And she goes, oh, no. There was a funeral this morning. It was fucking 10 o'clock at night. These guys are still going. And I guarantee the guy died in a car accident. I don't know how people don't die constantly. And at one point, I went outside with my brother-in-law, Rob, and we were going to run down to the store, to the bakery, and get some stuff for breakfast. And we get into the car, and then we look at each other, and we just fucking bust out laughing. He doesn't drive. I was in the left side. I was in the passenger seat, and he was in the driver's seat. We just completely fucking spaced. What else? Got to Spain. I mean, I could talk about Ireland all day, but it was just amazing. I felt like you get back to your roots immediately. You start talking to people, and it is just like they are like you. They get it. They're dark and they're funny and they tell stories, and you can literally walk up to any human being in a bar on the street and talk to them, and they will engage you and they will be charming, and I fucking love it. And we went to an island off the coast of Ireland called Inishmore, and there's little houses, and they overlook the bay, and there's nobody around. And all I could think is, if I could get 6 months of my life and rent one of those houses, I really think I could write a great novel. And maybe that's bullshit. Maybe I should be writing a novel now. A novel now. I'll use spell check when I write it. But I was just so taken. This is like my 4th or 5th time in Ireland, and every single time I go, I just want to move there. And and then I did stand-up comedy in Ireland for the first time. It was so much fun. I went to this place called the Royshin Dub, which my buddy Michael O'Brien was nice enough to hook me up with this guy over there. God, I should say his name, because the guy that runs the club was just the coolest fucking dude. He set me up. We sold out the show. A lot of people came out that I didn't know I had fans in Ireland, and apparently I do. And I'm trying to find Kevin's name. Where the fuck is Kevin's name? And my family was there. It was like 9 people from my family, and I had to keep shushing them during the other comedians. There was a guy there named Carl. Oh, don't forget his name. Carl. Shit, I'll think of it. Who was great, one of the best comics in Ireland. He happened to be in town, and he emceed. And so we had a blast. I riffed a lot. I was so nervous, so fucking nervous. I don't know why, but I just was. And then we hung out afterwards, had a great night. My daughter saw me, and she kind of made a comment to my wife that she's hurt that I don't do jokes about her, that I do jokes about Owen but not her. And I don't know why, and I thought about it. And I think maybe part of it is, like, as a father, I just have a very protective instinct towards my daughter, and I wouldn't want to hurt her in any way. And so now I'm hell-bent on, I've been out doing jokes about my daughter. I've been out the last couple nights, and I'm just going to write JoJo jokes, and then I'm going to bring her to a club one night and just roast her and make her regret ever talking behind my back. What else? So then we went to Spain. I talked about it on Sunday Papers. I don't know how many people listen to Sunday Papers and then my podcast. I don't like to repeat things, but I talked about Spain did not start well. The flight was delayed, so the rent-a-car company, which was a little one, was closed when we arrived. So my phone didn't work because Verizon sucks dick. And for a week, I tried to get them on the phone and could not. We didn't have phones for a week. So I couldn't get in touch with the car company. Took an hour and 10-minute cab ride across the island of Majorca. Got to the house. We're supposed to have a 2-bedroom. The woman's got us in a 1-bedroom that's tiny for the first 2 nights. And then I go back to the car company the next day, and they fuck me over at the car company. And I just had to take a moment and say, all right, Greg, put this in perspective. You're in Europe. You are fortunate enough to be on vacation with a family that you love in a beautiful country, and you could easily be in a bad mood right now. Or you could follow all the little tips that you get on TikTok every day from Deepak Chopra and fucking Eckhart Tolle and all these people, and you can go, I have the moment. I don't need to think about what just happened. Feel my feet on the floor. Feel my breath. Box breathe. Be present. And I did. And I let it go. And as I was about to get into my car at the car company, I realized that it was going to be okay. I got the car. Yes, it was an upgrade that I had to pay for because they didn't have my class of car. So it was an extra $120 for the week. Okay. I paid $120 each way for the taxi. Okay. So now we're close to $400 in the hole, plus a wasted day coming back. Okay. But I accepted it. And then I took a coin and I keyed up the car next to me in the parking lot. And then I badmouthed Verizon on Twitter. And then I pissed in the pool at the condo that we were staying at. And I accepted that that's how I find my serenity. Okay, maybe Eckhart Tolle wouldn't have done it that way, but that's the Irish way of finding serenity. And I found it, and I enjoyed the shit out of the week. We did a kayak trip into a cave. We hiked a mountain. We sat on beaches a lot. We went out to some fantastic dinners, drove around the island, went to a cathedral. It was amazing. And then we flew home long flight home. I had to go through Paris. And my wife sits down, and I get the window seat. And in front of us, we got a newborn who's breastfeeding and their 1.5-year-old. And we're about to get on a 12-hour flight. And I'm like, this is going to be a fucking nightmare. And I'm on the window. My wife's in the middle seat. Then a guy sits down on the aisle, and I can't stop laughing. He's so big that he has a seatbelt extender for his belly. And he's hanging over Erin's seat. But it was fine. The baby slept. Erin leaned on me. We slept. It was fine. It was fine. And then we got home. I got to say, by the way, Majorca, beautiful island. Love the Spanish. Not a big fan of the tour. It's all tourists, and they're all from Germany and Scandinavia. They're the coldest people. I kept trying to joke around with people. Nobody would fucking joke around with me. It was really lame. It made me very sad. But we had each other. My family has fun amongst ourselves. And actually, I don't like the English, but the English were great. We made friends with some British people. Not friends, but we talked to some British people and had some fun. And then we got home. I got a bunch of mail that I went through this morning from people. Somebody wrote something to me that was like borderline racist. I'm not even going to read it because it was like borderline racist. Sometimes I get some people that are a little bit ignorant that write into the 99% of the stuff people write in is just wonderful. And it makes me feel so good and grateful that you guys take time out of your lives to listen to me and my guests and support me and then take the time to email me messages. And I read every one of them. If you've ever written to me, you know I respond to every fucking one because it means something to me that you took the time. So anyway, this one was a little race, and the guy ended it with, "I'll just leave it at that." That's always a sign that I'll just leave it at that. So in other words, you have more to say, but you don't want to use the N-word. I think that's what really 99% of the time, "I'll just leave it at that" means, is that you have either that or you just haven't figured it out. It's a half a thought. It's something you overheard on the news or from an idiot friend, and you haven't really ingested it and mulled it over and had your own thoughts about it. So you go, "I'll just leave it at that." Why? Because that's all you got. That's why you're leaving it at that. Anyway, this one comes from... Oh, I forgot to write the name down. They wrote, "Saw you for the third time most recently at the Den Theater in Chicago this year, announcing you were going to embarrass your son in the crowd and then proceeded to do every Owen joke you've ever written. It was phenomenal." Yeah, and again, I'm going to do that for JoJo. They had an overheard. They said, "I visited my hometown south of Detroit, decided to stop into a bikini bar a couple towns over for lunch and a beer at noon on a Monday. Nothing I'm proud of. The jiggliest and most tattooed waitress yells at a patron, 'Hey, don't go getting Trevor all drunked up. We got dinner plans tonight.'" So that's somebody that needs to get to an Al-Anon meeting. That waitress needs to get herself into probably an adult child of alcoholics meeting. That's why she is dating Trevor, because she needs to control his drinking. And guess what, sweetie? You can't. He's going to drink. He's going to let you down. Don't do it. Then we got Sonia, who says, "I live in Vancouver and I'm a huge fan of the podcast. At the beginning of the year, you mentioned that your New Year's resolution was to be less defensive. Then you put a pin in the topic and said you'd talk about it next week, but you never did. I was looking forward to what you had to say." Well, Sonia, I'd like to say that I have mastered it, but I have very much kept it in my head and in my focus to be less defensive, to be more vulnerable with people. And I'm finding it's having a profound effect on friendships. I've been telling people I love them more, not in a bullshit way. Sometimes people throw I love you around too easily. But to people that I do love, like I just told Andrew Santino that I love him, and I hadn't told him that before, and it felt good. And I'm trying to walk into the Comedy Store and not worry about, oh, I got to avoid this person. I just go in and I open myself up. And I think also on a more intimate level with my children, I try to be there and stop parenting and just be in the moment with them and cherish it, because it's not going to be there forever. So yes, thank you for checking in, but that has been going well. Tim said, welcome back from your trip. I wanted to recommend my favorite autobiography. It's called Harpo Speaks, all about Harpo's life, lots of amazing details and stories about him and his brothers, coming up in vaudeville. Well, Tim, I looked it up on Audible, and either Audible doesn't carry it or you have the title wrong, but there's no Harpo Speaks. And I'm curious because I would like to read it, so write me back. I'm a huge Marx Brothers fan. Probably had as much effect on me comedically as anybody. So let me know. And then Mark Wiley, which is funny because I'm friends with another Mark Wiley who runs Best Buddies, which is a great organization you guys should donate money to and volunteer with. They help people with intellectual disabilities. But this is a different Mark Wiley. And he said, first time, long time, fuck off. Thank you. Good way to start. Anyway, after listening to your podcast for so many years, you are clearly a huge fan of Toole's masterpiece of a novel, A Confederacy of Dunces. So he goes on to talk about how he moved to New Orleans and he had a whole deeper appreciation for it. And he named his kitten Ignatius Riley, Iggy for short. Cat died. Anyway, he said you should definitely check out Butterfly and the Typewriter, which is a book about how psychologically damaged Toole was and how he developed his characters. So I went to Audible and I downloaded it, and as soon as I'm finished re-listening to the book I'm on, I'm going to start that. Thank you so much for the tip. I read the book, reread it for the third time on vacation, Confederacy of Dunces. Fucking amazing book. Read it if you haven't. All right, let's get to some more overheards next time. I feel like we've done enough. It has been a pleasure talking to you. I hope you enjoy the solo podcasts as much as I enjoy making them. And don't forget to support the sponsors and go to HelloFresh.com/50Fitzdog and get yourself 50% off plus free shipping. Also, Game Time. Get the app and use code Fitzdog for $20 off your first purchase. Also, premium membership is available. Get all the back episodes. You can get that at Fitzdog.com. I want to thank Midcoast Media for editing and producing the podcast. And we will catch you guys next time. God bless America.